just because Amy Coney Barrett couldn't name the five freedoms protected by the First Amendment, I don't think that means she should be disqualified. Like my uncle, he can't name all five. He can only name two, and he's an electrician. So, you know, I think we should give her a bye because she's a good Christian. You know, she believes that the sick should be healed by Jesus Christ and not by Obamacare. And I think that's really the kind of energy I want to have in a Supreme Court justice. If you close your eyes and listen to her, she sounds like Cheryl Hines. So that reminds you of Curb Your Enthusiasm. That's good. She's kind of like a version of Cheryl Hines who, instead of hating vaccines, hates abortion. Kind of shakes things up. I don't know. I mean, I would much rather have Candace Owens on the Supreme Court, but, you know, she doesn't have any experience as a judge as far as I know. I don't know that much about Candace Owens. I actually found out that she was attractive like 2 days ago. I just assumed she was like ugly or something, you know, because everyone always like, Candace Owens is this hateful person, and everyone just glosses over the fact that she's like unusually attractive. But I guess it makes sense because they put her on, now it all makes sense in retrospect because they put her on Fox News. You know, they don't really put ugly woman on Fox News because unless they, you know, it's someone that they disagree with. They only put attractive women on Fox News because then it will trick. I mean, I guess that's like where we're at, is that people are so dumb that they'll just be like, maybe the poor should die in the streets. A hot blonde is saying it. You know, who knows what Hope Hicks was trying to make Trump do. She got the power. I had a very eventful week this week. I was in 2 out of the 3 states in the U.S. that have the word new in them, New Hampshire and New York. It was a fun time. I did a great show in Providence, Rhode Island. Jeremy Pearson, shout out to him. He runs a great, you know, it's a free show. It's not paid, but, you know, it's just good to actually be on a real stage and feel like you're doing real comedy again, which has been sorely missed. So definitely one of the better outdoor shows. I have another show this evening in which, you know, by the time most people listen to this, it will be over. But it's in Quincy, Massachusetts, at the Crack Irish Pub. You know, crack spelled the Celtic way. The crack. You know, some people say crake, but that's, you know, that's not correct. It's everyone, you know. I'm enough of a white trash Boston area Irish American to know that word is pronounced crack. And anyway, you know, some people. I was actually in New York. When I was in New York, before the mic, there was like a show that was put on by an actual club, and there was this comic making jokes about how the Irish say crack, and like he was just making like stupid puns about that. And I'm like, is this guy getting paid to do this? He's making crack puns? You'd get called a hack in Boston if you attempted that. That's shitty. But you know, and that's supposed to be the comedy epicenter of the world. I don't know, folks. I don't know anymore. So I ventured on down. After the show in Providence, I got in my rental car, Kia Forte or something like that, and I just gunned it 95 all the way to the Big Apple. Boy, were there a lot of fucking trucks, though. I fucking hate driving next to 18-wheelers. It's like you pass one, and then there's another one on. I don't know. I just like to think that they're all delivering vital medical equipment, and if I get mad at them, I'm hoping people die. So then that's how I manage my anger with that, but boy, if you drive through the night to New York, and everyone's worried about me, they're like, are you going to make it? I'm like, dude, it's sober October. Also, I arrived in New York at like 1. It wasn't like I was driving through the night. It wasn't like I arrived, you know, left at midnight and arrived at like 5. Boy, it was a fast ride though, and I hate it. So I crashed at my buddy's place. He works in finance. You know, he probably has sacrificed a few children. His loft is $1 million a month, and you know, it's whatever. He doesn't like people asking too many questions about his job, typical of anyone in New York who has a nice place. And we went to, then I went to a couple of outdoor mics. I heard this outdoor mic scene was pretty cool. Got to see a couple of local comics from Boston who have transplanted. Chris Kinback, David Dobbins, Christian Conti. Fun stuff. Boy, that Kinback, really a pussy hound. We were just walking down the street, and this hot girl walked by, and he was like, oh, hold on a second. And then he just beelined down the side street and tried to talk to her, and then she was like, no, thank you. And, you know, he didn't keep pressing after she said no, thank you. He's a gentleman in that regard. You know, some guys might take that too personally, take it too far. I would never have the confidence to approach a stranger on the street. I don't know where people get this from. But, you know, they say it works, it works. I don't have street confidence. I feel like dating apps, though, have ruined, like, Because now men don't have to worry about getting rejected at all. Because it's not really rejected if it's just all on an app. It's not real. And then another thing I noticed is that women on the app will swipe left on someone that they would totally talk to and give their number to if they came up to them in real life. It's like when you're sitting in judgment of someone, you feel like your status is so much more elevated than it does just like in any given other situation. So the plural is, regardless of what your gender is, your experience is ruined by the apps. And I know a lot of people are like, hey, it's a modern tool and I'm a busy businessman or woman and I gotta use, whatever. It goes back to a thing I've been complaining about a lot where people like they have every app downloaded and they're trying to figure out some kind of algorithm to go on as many dates as possible to find like the love of their life or something. I'm like, you realize that the phrase like algorithm and love of your life can't really be in the same coherent thought. Like you're overly trying to make it this process-oriented thing, and there's just absolutely no way that you can have romance exist in that kind of context. It's like dissecting a frog. No one wants to do it and it dies. That's an old joke. So dissecting a joke is like dissecting a frog. But seriously though, if you try to make it this weird industrialized process that no one is gonna, I don't know. Also, personally, whenever I'm on a date, if I can get the vibe that that this is like her fourth one that week, I like it. I kind of check out. I'm like, I'm not competing. It's like even if she seems nice or attractive, it's like I'm not competing with whoever knows. She probably is going out with someone whose dad has a boat. How am I supposed to compete with that? Fucking 4 a week. I mean, at a certain point, you're just statistically, it's guaranteed you're going to go out with someone whose dad has a boat. My dad doesn't have a boat. My parents are both actually pretty afraid of boats. So that's not happening. Also, my sister took major umbrage with last week's episode where I reviewed our video. She didn't watch the episode, obviously, because, that would never happen. But I posted a clip on Instagram, to show off our cool new bumper that I made. Little bumper where it's like the logo and it goes, shh, shh. And she said, you should be careful about gross misogynistic rants. And it's like, Dave, you saw the clip, right? You saw the clip that I posted on Instagram. Now, I just don't understand why someone would misconstrue that to be misogynist. I didn't say anything that was targeted towards women in any way. There were women and there were men, and I was targeting them equally. And I actually took care not to give any sort of like lopsided over-sexualization. It was very nothing sexual about the rant at all. It was strictly a matter of principle that these people had sort of promised nudity and then failed to deliver it. And there's a lot of blame to go around. On many sides, I mean, they're all, weird, like, centrist liberals, but on many sides of the gender spectrum. And, she's just, I guess she's just doing that thing that Bill Burr does, where that Bill Burr was complaining about, where, like, white women have decided to place themselves at the forefront of oppression. Because, if you hear that and then you come back with misogynist, clearly you've just decided to hear it in a certain way and then made it misogynist, because, you didn't like the fact that I said people should be showing labia. But it's on principle. It has nothing to do with sexualization or demeaning woman. I mean, because I said that Mark Ruffalo should be showing his cock. And, Josh Gad, I guess. Who cares? I mean, really, Josh Gad. Has he been in anything in the past, 5 years? I guess there was a Frozen 2 that no one saw. Sporting his coffee from Chibo Coffee, by the way, here in Wakefield, Massachusetts. Just drove in this morning, woke up, Coney, New Hampshire, and I made great time. I made it back here in 2 hours, 10 minutes. And, I wrecked the bathroom at the Dunkin' Donuts next door, even though I didn't buy anything. I did not want to leave that business in the studio bathroom because that would be disrespectful, They're nice enough to let us use this beautiful space. It's the middle of the day. The sun is shining. We got the curtains open. You're seeing pure, honest-to-goodness sunlight right on my face. How about that, folks? How about that? Honest-to-goodness sunlight. The way Jesus Christ, the Founding Fathers, and I can't think of the third funny thing to say. Amy Coney Barrett intended. I think Amy Coney Barrett just deliberately ruffles up her hair to look like she hasn't been to a salon. Because you see, she's like white bread, pure American cut, blah, blah. There's no way that her hair wouldn't be done nice if it weren't for the fact that the optics on that would be particularly bad. And I saw another video the other day where, I don't know, you guys probably saw it, went pretty viral, but it was Wolf Blitzer was asking Nancy Pelosi fairly basic questions, and she had a meltdown on him. And I noticed in the video that, like, she's 80 years old, first of all. So let's fucking get these senile people out. She's older. We're complaining about Biden and Trump being too old. She's older than both of them. She needs to go. And, you know, her eyebrows bleed down the sides of her face. You can, like, as she talks, watch her eyebrows slowly move further and further and further. Her eyebrows look like the brackets that you use when someone uses a pronoun and then, you know, you're quoting them and you need to show that they said, you know, them. It's like someone said them when referring to Nancy Pelosi's eyes, so they just put her eyes in brackets and then had her eyes, because that's what it looks like. Her eye brackets around her eyes. Fucking weirdo. And so clearly, I looked at the video closely. It's not just that she's wearing makeup. I think they've applied a Snapchat-style filter to her face since it was over Zoom to, like, soften her features, because it looks very unnatural and weird. Like, she has no wrinkles all of a sudden. They're really fucking reaching. And I'm like, by the way, like, you know, and then she got tricked by a fucking salon owner. That's great. You got tricked. You're majority house leader. That's, I don't know. Enough jokes about that have already been made, but.
Talk about a hairy situation.
Hairy situation. You might even say a frizzy situation. ACB. Yeah. You know, it's very disheartening when you see a beautiful young woman who is just all about no, I almost said misogyny because my sister's got me all fucked up in the head. All about monogamy all the time. Sorry, Amy Coney. I wonder if she slept around when she was in college. And then, you know, she found Jesus later. Nah, I think she was one of those, like, weird, like, there's certain not sex, but there's certain communities of Catholicism where they have almost the intensity of, like, Mormons, where they're just, like, really into it. Like, all the Boston Catholics is kind of like a shitty, like, phoned in, like, no one even knows the rules, no one knows shit. Half of them have never given to charity in their life, but they still claim Catholicism, like. But I feel like there are some people that, like, take it to a level of high intensity, which is one of the worst religions to be really into, by the way. They don't want you to do anything. They think male masturbation is murder. They think that, you know, if you have the divine hands of God, then you should get away with child sexual abuse. They want to share a glass of wine with 100 people every Sunday. That doesn't fly during the pandemic. Can't do that. Actually, the church I went to as a kid didn't have that. By the way, I drove by the church I went to as a kid because it's right next to Chibo in Wakefield, and there was like a hearse because they must have been having a funeral. There was a hearse, and it says U.S. Secret Service, and then there a bunch of military Humvees started swarming in. Whoever this guy from Wakefield was that died, and you know was in the military or Secret Service, something like that. He must have been a big deal. They're occupying this bitch up on Main Street in Wakefield, Most Blasted Sacrament Parish, Father Coughlin. One time I was, when I moved away for a bit, my parents gave Father Coughlin my email, which was very, like, just, I wasn't a fan of that at first. And then I realized his emails were hilarious because he was like a senile old priest who somehow managed to, like, still function and do the mass every week, you know, several times a week. But he would send me these emails like, "We are painting the left hall of the church. I assume you have heard," this was 2013. He was like, "We are painting the left hall of the church. I assume you have heard of Aaron Hernandez. I think there's something they're not telling us. Could be a gang affiliation. I don't know. The weather has been nice here lately. We are also going to install new shingles on the parish roof. Chris Carlson, the director of CCD, has stepped down. We are replacing her with blah, blah, blah from St. Agatha's Parish in Peabody." So what? It didn't make any sense at all. He was gone. I remember one time, I think I was 20 years old, and I went to the Christmas Eve Mass, and, you know, my parents, like, twist my arm to go into the one Mass a year, and I took edibles before it was, like, legal and cool. It was, like, homemade edibles that my friend had made, and I took a big old brownie, and I was getting stoned, and it's kind of nice because there's all the music, and everyone's wearing nice clothes, and it smells good because of all the, like, potpourri and Christmas whatever scents. Various perfumes wafting, and he's going on this rant about how it's so great to see you people in church today because I think I might have already done this, but whatever. It's so great to see you people in church today because children are becoming atheists and the schools won't let us sing Christmas songs at the Christmas pageant. And I was at the mall the other day and satanic images were in the windows. And then I just started laughing hysterically because I think he just walked by a Hot Topic and he's old as shit and he just freaked the fuck out. Like either that or Spencer's Gifts. Hot Topic has definitely more of the, I think Hot Topic might even have devil ears on the H or something. I forget. I haven't been to. When was the last time you've been to a mall? Last time I would only go to a mall if I was like trying to kill someone, and I didn't want anyone to see me. I think I bought a video game at a Best Buy or something like that, like maybe 2 or 3 years ago. I can't tell you the last time I was at a mall. Anyways, I had a good time in New York, going back to that. We got a little sidetracked talking about ACB and Father Coughlin and, whatever. My sister is very offended by my misogyny. She'll get over it. So we were at, there's a couple of mics. First one was in Central Park. It was all right. Second one had a pretty good setup in like the financial district. And there was another one I did in Queens that had no mic. And not every experience I had on stage was particularly good. There was a really cool one though. One of the ones I did Sunday was at like an amphitheater in a park. So like it actually did have like a stadium seating set up already. So it was like great because like your fucking ass gets sore just sitting on like random concrete all day. So that was cool. And then there was another one that like overlooked the Statue of Liberty in Jersey City, and that was all right. But the guy made me pay $1 to do it, which was like, it's not like it breaks the bank, but it's a little weird that you're charging people $1 to tell jokes in the park next to an Asian girl dog party. There was just a bunch of Asian girls with dogs having they had a big sign that said "Let's potty." I don't know if it was like a let's just have a dog party for no reason, or if like one of the humans' birthdays it was, or if one of the dogs. These were all impractically small dogs, by the way. Like, I don't know how you live in a city like New York and have a dog that's like 8 inches long. Like what the fuck? I could have totally imagined this girl just walking her dog and some random like classic New Yorker just steps on it and kills it by accident, and then she's like, my dog! And then he's like, hey, I was walking there, watch where you're fucking, like no sympathy at all. Watch where you're fucking going, now your dog's dead, fuck you! Like, it just keeps walking, does not offer any condolences. I mean, that just seems like the kind of thing that would happen. I don't know why you would have such an easily killable dog in a place like New York. It's so crowded, but that's besides me. I don't have any pets. If I were to get a dog, it would be normal sized. It would not be a ridiculous dog, and I feel like those ones need to be groomed probably a lot more. I don't know anything about dogs. I would love a nice dog for a nice hike, though. We'll get to the hiking later, but so the last mic I did, it was out in Brooklyn. I went to this place, I don't remember what it was called, which is good because I'm about to badmouth it. I ordered a fried chicken sandwich. It was horrible. It was one of those, you ever get like a sandwich where there's like a brioche bun and there's some meat and then there's like slaw, and then you realize partway through it that you have eaten all the meat and that is just like bread and slaw that you're eating? It was disgusting, and it was like $18 because like, I didn't know how to find like a cheaper place because I was a tourist and I was in a rush. And that's the same place that I heard that guy talking about, crack, making very, very dumb crack puns. Honestly, ethnically, not very sensitive. You should respect the Celtic people and, their kooky bullshit that they always get into. I mean, they don't really, if you live in Boston, they don't command that much respect. I'm obviously joking. They're quite a kooky bunch. And their American descendants really also pretty obnoxious. I don't really think that the Irish or the Irish Americans should command much respect at all. They are not a dignified people in any way. They've done very little. What was a contribution? Finnegan's Wake? Wasn't that? And I think the guy who wrote that was like Scottish or something. One of their only contributions to mathematics was actually a statistical distribution. A new type of t-distribution was created to improve the quality assurance of Guinness beer. But then I looked into it, and the guy who did it was like a ringer that they brought in from the UK. So that didn't even count. They had a dumb religious war. It was stupid. Although some people say it was more about territory than religion. That was just a front. But, the IRA, they're pretty cool. They're a group I respect. They once flew a helicopter into a prison, and then they just, took 3 people and flew it out. So that's fucking badass. That's not something you hear every day. They hijacked a helicopter, flew it straight into the prison, landed at the yard, 3 people boarded, they took off, never caught the people that escaped. That's balls. Some people are pussies, and they're like, I understand that they wanted Ireland to be free, but their methods are, that's enough. helicopter hijacking trumps whatever bullshit thing you said, you know. These are the kind of people who are voting for Joe Biden, like, and you know, a lot of people are voting for him as lesser of two evils, but these are the kind of people who are voting for him as, like, he's an inspiring figure. We need to bring America back to the center. We need to... By the way, if Joe Biden loses, he better also lose the popular vote. Because I can't do 4 more years of, well, he won the popular vote. Shut the fuck up. That's not how the winner is determined, and you know that. It's been that way for 300 years. And you just get mad about it now? Like, oh, that was the worst. People try to act like Hillary Clinton was this inspiring figure even after she lost. She's like, okay, she lost. We can stop talking about her now. We can stop, you know, she was the lesser of two evils. Stop trying to gaslight me. She's an inspiring feminist figure who was married to a rapist and pedophile for political gain. And then I say, you know, you mention, oh, your conspiracy theories that Bill Clinton is a rapist. I was like, are you fucking serious? Can we stop pretending that he's not a fucking creep and that he's not into underage girls? Like, we need to meet halfway, and we can't meet halfway if you pretend all this stupid shit. Like, Biden never sniffed anyone. Shut the fuck. Kamala is a hero to black people. She never threw them in jail for nonviolent crimes because she wanted to use them for slave labor. She never did that. She wouldn't do that. She's a good person. She made a face at Mike Pence. Did a fly land on her? No, it landed on Mike Pence. I'm not saying Mike Pence is a good person. Obviously, I'm not saying that. He's like a weird troll. Oh, no shit, she debated Mike Pence that did well. Mike Pence is a retarded person. That's not an accomplishment to beat him in a debate. You defeated a retarded person in a debate. That's not an accomplishment. Honestly, it's wrong of you to gloat about it, even. It's in bad taste. You shouldn't do that. It's rude. It's disrespectful to those with disabilities. It's ableist, really, is what it is. But, you know, some people are not able to use their legs because they lost control. A tree fell on them when they were fighting fires in California for 27 cents an hour because Kamala refused to sign their appeal or whatever it was. Ugh, not appeal. You know the word. What's the word?
Fuck, I can't think of it.
Appeal? Appeal? No.
Compensation?
Probation? No, that's not the word. Repeal? What is when they get out of prison early? I don't know.
I think that's probation.
No, but there's a word for, like, the act of getting out, and then you're on probation. Fuck. Well, boy, do we look dumb now. I just went on that rant, and now we can't even think of, like, a basic word. Eligible. Parole! It's parole. You're eligible for parole. That's it. That was the word.
We're, like, halfway there for the answer.
No, I'm pretty sure it's parole. She wouldn't sign their parole. You get parole, and then you go on probation.
Yeah, that's.
And then you have a parole officer. Okay, well, I think you might be on parole. I think on parole and on probation might actually be different things. I don't know. We'll call in a lawyer. Hello, lawyer. Ring, ring. Calling you up. Blah, blah, blah. So anyways, who's texting me? Frown face. Oh, yeah, right. I'll get into that later. So anyways, I was in New York, and I was in Brooklyn, and it was a mic. It was about to rain. So we were trying to get through it. A couple of people went. I got to see Christian Conte. He was a Boston guy who moved to New York a while ago, so I hadn't seen him in a while. It was good to see him. And I didn't even plan on seeing him. He just happened to be there, which is, you know, a New York minute, as they say. So anyways, I go up at the mic, and I decided on the way over there, I, like, thought of a few things, and I was just like, I'm going to do this. It's like my last mic. Like, why am I going to do my fucking classic tight five? Like, I don't care. And, of course, I was just doing this crazy shit that I had just thought of on the car ride there, and they were all checked out, because from their perspective, they had no idea who I am. I'm like just another white guy who may or may not be sounding edgy. They're like, oh, fuck it, whatever. So I'm doing all this crazy stuff about how I want to have sex with Candace Owens, and how I think she would, like, hold me down and be kind of like a femdom, and I'd be like, Candace, that hurts, and she'd be like, shut up and dribble in my pussy, and, you know, it's very stupid. You know, that one actually you could argue is misogynist, because I'm, you know, reducing a horrible person just to her femininity, and I guess also other traits of her personality. Is it racist? Because I don't assume she'd be dominating because she's a black woman. I just assume she'd be dominating because she's, you know, like a mean woman. So no, I don't think that counts as racist. I don't know. I'll have to call the cops and ask them. So anyways, I'm doing this and no one's laughing. It's like I'm doing like act out. It's a very over the top, ridiculous thing. And I'm like, okay, nobody likes this. And then over the corner, over my shoulder, I hear, keep going. I'm like, what? And I turn around. It's a guy on a bicycle who heard my set, stopped his bike, and then just like was listening. And then I was like, fuck yeah, because these comics are all like sociopaths. Like half the time they don't pay attention to other people's set. They're not very supportive. But I got a regular person, a civilian, a non-freak, a normie to stop and like mine. And that matters a million times more than actually impressing a comic. So I was like, yeah, bike guy. And I guess that is kind of the advantage of the outdoor comedy is that you can just kind of get, if you're doing well, you can just get passersby to stop and watch. So yeah, he liked my weird sexual angry bit. Maybe I'll keep it. Bike guy liked it, so I love the bike guy. And then I'd make the trek back to Boston, leave around like 8 o'clock, and people are saying drive safe. And what they don't realize is that I'm not going to die in Connecticut. There's quite literally no way that my body will physically allow me to die in Connecticut. Like I get hit by an 18-wheeler and like my nervous system would keep myself alive until I at least made it to like Mass General or something or back to New York, depending on how far it was. Imagine dying in Connecticut. You'd have to be a real fucking loser to die. Connecticut is nothing. The only reason that state was even incorporated is so that they could get the federal funding to build highways connecting New York City to the New England. Like, there's nothing there. There's a university, Yale, everyone that goes there is made fun of. Like, people who don't go to college make fun of people who go to Yale. You don't want to go there. Hartford, a very forgettable city. You never hear anything about Hartford. Just very forgettable city. And then the rest of it is just punchlines about people who are like rich and privileged and have like manners or whatever. Like, imagine this. You win the lottery. You're rich. You're loaded. You can do anything you want. And you think, whoa, boy, better buy that mansion in Connecticut. Of anywhere, you could go anywhere. And you're going to buy a mansion in Connecticut. The most forgettable state. It's literally called Connecticut because it only exists as a connection from one of the major economic centers of the world to a different economic center. And, Providence is okay, too. I guess you can go there from Connecticut as well. Yeah, no. I'm not dying in Connecticut. Whatever. I made it back. I made it back safe. I got a nice roast beef at Angelo's Roast Beef the next day. Great stuff. Everyone loves Angelo's. No shade to Angelo's. Angelo's is a new place that opened in August. And if you like a nice North Shore beef, definitely go to Angelo's. Especially if you're, in just north of Boston. You don't want to go too far because it can be a bit of a drive. Boy, is Angelo's in Saugus good. Right on the Saugus Melrose line. It's delicious. They got it. And if you've got a junior roast beef, they put it on a brioche bun, which is kind of an edge. Kind of an edge with the brioche. One thing I forgot to say is that when I was in New York, I accidentally turned down the side street and I ended up driving like through this like lowrider rally. And it's like all these lowriders and they had like hot girls like posing on the cars sexily, which got me thinking, imagine if you're a hot girl and you have all these opportunities available because of the fact that you were born very attractive. And instead of being like a model or an actress, or like a weather lady or a news anchor, or just having a normal career, but then, doing well and doing better than a normal person would because you're attractive. Imagine instead of all that, you're just like a girl who poses on cars. It's like, that's it. And you get those weird, like, because if you're a stripper, no one in the strip club is pretending that they're not like horny. Like the mystique is blown. No one's watching you like like they're appraising a painting or something like, ooh. That's not how the strip club vibe generally is. But if you're the hot girl who poses on automobiles, then you get all these fucking douchebags who spend all the money they own trying to dress up in a nice suit and slick their hair back, and they're going and they're trying to act like they're, oh, what is that, 6-cylinder? And then they're not. They're acting like they're not fucking just staring at your tits. They're like, oh, I'm in the car. Oh, yeah. It's just and the motto of this podcast is always be honest with yourself. My sister was not honest with herself. She thought that my podcast is somehow oppressing women by suggesting that the celebrities should show labia or hog, depending on which one they have available between their legs. If you're at a car convention and there's like a girl in a bikini lying on top of the car, you're not looking at the car. You're looking at the girl. And you're pretending to look at the car because you want to act like you know about cars because, like, you think, like, car, man, I'm a straight man, I look at cars. You're not being honest with yourself. Be honest with yourself. That's what we say in this. I think episode 7 was be honest with yourself. So, we're back. The brioche, the click, the cut. Oh, and we're on YouTube now. That's the other thing I did that day. I put we finally went and put all the old episodes on YouTube, and now going forward, every episode will be on YouTube. So, this expensive camera we're using, we're finally putting it to good use. And, I made that cool intro and After Effects, kind of a placeholder. I'm going to try to whip up a cooler one. Most people who have podcasts pay professionals to make motion graphics for them. That's not really in the pay grade of this podcast. So, yeah, it's just going to be a lot of guessing and checking. But I think it came out pretty well for something that a complete squid like myself made. I got some ideas for another one, and you'll see. One day you'll go on to watch this podcast on YouTube, and we'll have a much cooler intro. It'll be like the Marvel intro, where, like, in the beginning it was just Flash Comics and then Marvel, and then it was, like, Flash Comics, but, like, the text was 3D, and then it became, like, this whole big thing with comics and script pages and the cutouts of the actors, and it was this whole grand Shibuya. It'll be like that. We'll progress it. It'll be fun. We're going to have a good time. Trust me. We're going to have a good time. I'm going to use Blender. I'm going to break out Blender. Remember Blender?
I remember you showed a presentation on it. Like, what was it, 5th grade?
No, I wasn't that good back then. I was doing, like, claymation back then. I think it was, like, 7th grade. I did some Blender stuff. There was,
I do remember you showed off Blender, and I think it was
a project in 7th grade for history class where we did mummification, and there was like one or two like very cheaply done CG shots that were in Blender. And also you could like get a plugin that did the green screen effects, and I couldn't afford like Premiere at the time, so I did that. Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of a learning curve, and it's a weirdly used software because it's free. But because it's free, it has under the hood, it has the power of some pretty powerful software. Some people say that you could use Blender completely as a substitute for After Effects. But I think that would be way too much overkill. Like, that would just be a lot of fucking heavy lifting.
It's like the MS Paint of 3D programs.
I guess so. Well, the latest version, when they went from 2.79 to 2.8, instead of like going all the way up to version 3, which would have made sense, like 2.8 ended up being like the huge overhaul where they completely redid the whole thing and added all these features. So like basically they took a bunch of the popular plugins that people had made over the years and they codified them into the actual application. They revamped it to make it more like a typical software. So I think if you have a powerful computer, 2.8 is actually like a really big diesel thing. So anyways, enough about the inside baseball of how I made the logo. I drove up to New Hampshire after this wonderful little evening. I dropped off my rental car and I did something. I think I went to Dunkin' Donuts or something. I did something in the morning, and then I went to New Hampshire. And pretty horrible drive up. Not good at all. Very rainy. I stopped in Dover just to get off the road and have a bite to eat. I went to Cara, a true pub of Ireland. That's the name of the place, Cara, C-A-R-A. Shout-outs to Cara. Go there, get a cottage pie, not a shepherd's pie. Up here, is it a cottage pie or a shepherd's pie? Shepherd's pie is lamb. Yeah, okay, that's enough. We don't need that kind of argument. But thankfully, those people got, they had the cottage pie. They had the distinction correct. They didn't have lamb in the back, so they just had a cottage pie. And then my friend told me that that's where he met Marco Rubio. So I guess Marco Rubio, when he visits the great state of New Hampshire, he goes to Cara, True Pub of Ireland in Dover. So, 11 4th Street is, if you ever want to go there, if you ever want to stop off, especially if you're driving up to the White Mountains, a good halfway point to grab a bite to eat. Cara, True Pub of Ireland. So then I make it all the way up. I crash on my friend's, I go to this Chinese restaurant in Freiburg, Maine. I crash on my friend's guest room. We get up, we do a huge mountain, hiking it all. It was 10 miles, it was 3,500 feet, it was bald face, south bald face, north bald face. You can see everything, the leaves are changing, it's beautiful. We soaked it in. There was a little creek at the end. I soaked my feet in the creek. It was obviously very cold because it's, not summer anymore. It probably would have still been cold in the summer, but boy, did it feel good. It's like a system. After your feet, when your feet are sore, if you soak them in one of those like New Hampshire creeks, it just feels so good. The rushing water is like a massage. The cold is good, and it's like a shock to your central nervous system. You like feel it all the way up your spine. Sober October, but I feel like I'm getting stoned when I put my feet in the water. It's like, And then all of a sudden you're like, you should be euphoric. I don't know what's going on. I see the light. I can be honest with myself. I can see the light. Hey-yo. So anyways, and I also forgot to mention that because I didn't want to get injured on the hike, on Monday night I took an ice bath, and I got fucking ripped off because I run the faucet, and then I realized that no matter how low I put it, the water coming out of the faucet is like lukewarm. So I dumped my 2 bags of ice in there, and they melt immediately, and the water just kind of chilled. So I don't think I got my full bang for my buck out of that ice bath. I'd have better luck going and just sitting in one of those creeks in New Hampshire. But that's a little bit less practical of a thing, because I can't do that in the comfort of my own home. So I guess next time I just need 4 bags of ice. Some people think I'm a psychopath when I tell them that I'm taking an ice bath, by the way. They don't get it at all. They're like, you sit in ice? And I was like, yeah, that's actually it. They're like, what's an ice bath? What do you just put ice in your bath? And it's like, yes, actually, it's not a very complicated procedure. And I don't get it. They're like, that sounds unpleasant. And I'm like, well, it is unpleasant, actually. So, I feel like you sound confused, but you seem to be understanding this process pretty well. And, it's good for healing. It's the rest, ice, compression, elevation. You rest, you camite, you elevate, you jerk off in the mirror, and then you wipe it down with some Cottonelle wet wipes. That's the second motto of this show is Cottonelle wet wipes, a sponsor. Chibo, and they got these great sandwiches. I ate mine in like 5 seconds before I came here, but these sandwiches are fantastic. So anyways, I'm up on the bald face, and, first part of the hike, we're cruising up, it's fine, and then all of a sudden I get to the second part of the hike, and the second part of the hike is like, it's literally a bald face. You're just on rock. Thankfully, I bought some spikes, these things that you can attach to the bottom of your shoes to really hug the ground, but the spikes can only do so much when it's rock, because they can't cut right into it, but they do create more friction. So you're climbing up this rock, and then you got to hoist yourself up a ledge, and the ledge is like, I guess, kind of up to your belly button, but it's angled downward. So every time you're trying to go over this ledge, you're also fighting gravity, trying to just tumble you down the mountain and kill you. And every time you get to one of these ledges, you kind of just got to like put your chest up, put one leg up, shift the body weight, and then do the other leg, and then try to get yourself up into like a push-up position and ultimately standing, like a surfboard pop-up, and all while forcing your body towards the summit so that you don't accidentally tumble down the mountain and die. And then when we went down the mountain, we just took a different path that was not as insane. And then from that different path, you could see what we went up. We just looked like, God damn it, we went up that? We should be quite dead. I used poles, too, hiking poles, similar to ski poles, but they're collapsible. That made a huge difference on the way down. As you lean forward, and every time you lean forward, you think you're going to fall forward and tumble. You just use a pole. Then you're good. I don't know. I'm doing an equally long hike in Franconia with my buddies on Saturday. I don't know if I'm going to make it. But you got to get out there. New England folks, the leaves are changing. There's colors. Get out wherever you can. If you're listening in Iraq, like that one guy, or Russia, like that other guy, hopefully you got leaves there. I'm pretty sure there's no leaves in Iraq, not like the ones we have here. So I don't know how you guys enjoy autumn. Do they even have autumn, or does it just stay hot? Probably just stays hot. I picture it as a hot place. I've never been. I can't say. I was not deployed. I was one of the lucky ones. George Bush didn't send me over there. It's whatever. And I stopped, of course, at the... I'm actually representing the Front Side Grind, a delicious coffee shop in North Conway, New Hampshire. And I stopped by Zeb's. Zeb's is a general store. Not really, though. It claims to be a general store. They don't sell anything that you would think you'd find at a general store. Like, no one's ever like, honey, I'm going to run down to the general store. Do you need a T-shirt, a Jacob's Ladder, and candy by the pound? They just sell random tourist shit. But some of this shit they sell is like, who the hell is buying this? Like, here, what do I got here? I got a few pictures of the BS that they sell at Zeb's. And Zeb's, of course, is when I was a kid, you'd go there and there was just a ton of, you get the candy by the weight. You get like a Jones soda or some kind of like weird. They sell a ripoff of Jenga called Jumbling Tower. Same thing. It's called Jumbling Tower. They sell those like toys that are on platforms where you can push the bottom of the platform and the toy will collapse. They sell pop guns. I don't know where you could be without pop guns. They sell really a lot of versions of the toy where it's just on a platform and you push the bottom of the platform, the thing collapses. Slingshots, so, buy your kid a slingshot and then he will murder you. Like, and we need to talk about Kevin. I guess that was a bow and arrow, but I think you saw it. And, of course, the classic cup with a string with a ball that you could swing and get the ball. And if you don't, it's not that big of a deal because it's attached to a string. And that paddleboard thing. You know those paddle boards that have, like, the elastic string and the rubber ball? And it's like... Those are a lot of fun. I didn't buy one because I didn't really feel like it, but... Boy, are those. Yo-yos, of course, slide whistles. All the slide whistles are probably not very COVID-friendly. They have an off-brand version of ring dings called Ring Game. I want to go to a bar. I want to go to the Poorhouse and play Ring Game. Oh, R.I.P. to the Poorhouse. It's gone. I don't know. Are there any other bars in Boston where you can play Ring Game? I don't know.
I don't know. This bar didn't have it.
Then they have coasters that say Live, Laugh, Lodge. For your, like, alcoholic girlfriend who just drinks in the lodge while you're going skiing, I guess. I'm not really sure who the target audience for many of these products were. There's one that was particularly strange. I don't mind working for home. I can drink there. Hashtag. They have all these coasters that say hashtag COVID-19, but they're coasters. You realize that this is like a physical thing that you printed on an object. It's not a social media. The hashtag is meaningless in print. But yeah, hashtag COVID-19. What's another one? If being braless all day wrong is wrong, I don't want to be right. Okay, that one's not for me. And then there's a picture of a bra that says perky boobs, and then there's a picture of a bra with a no sign that says work from home perk. Okay, so kind of a one-note joke. It's really all just bra and wine. Those are the two jokes that they have. Did you know 2 to 3 glasses of wine per day can reduce your risk of giving a rip? I think they were supposed to say giving a shit, and then at the last minute they realized they didn't want to swear, so they said giving a rip. Like, because that's not maybe these are from Britain or something. I
guess you really don't give a shit if you can't post the real thing.
I sold my empty wine bottles to crafters on Facebook. At least that one doesn't say hashtag COVID-19 like the rest of them do. Now, here's the worst one by far. It is a fake text message conversation where sender says, have I gained weight? And recipient responds, you weren't that skinny to begin with. Then the caption is, another pandemic death, hashtag COVID-19, suggesting that the sender has been killed by this insult that the recipient has suggested that they were not skinny prior to the quarantine. Another pandemic death. It's great. We're making light of it. Like 1 million people have died worldwide. But yeah, it's skinny. And hashtag COVID-19 yet again. It was great. And then there's another one particularly confusing. It's a dish towel that says, Mean Girls been socially distancing since 2004. And Mean Girls is not capitalized correctly, even though it's a proper noun. It's the title of a movie. Mean Girls been socially distancing since 2004. Then there's kind of a stencil of the 4 mean girls, and Lindsay Lohan's character has a speech bubble that says, you can't sit with us, which I seem to recall being a quote from the movie. I'm not sure who this is for, because this kind of style of dish rag is for alcoholic moms, and that movie is for, like, 90s kids, like kids who were born in the 90s, not like, I don't call myself a 90s kid because I was born in 94. I have very little recollection of being alive in the 90s, but I was part of the generation of people that saw Mean Girls. It's sad that there's products marketed to mothers who are around my age, because they're just, honestly, there shouldn't, if you're a mother and you're close to my age, you have made a horrible mistake, and Amy Coney Barrett is going to punish you for it. So when we get her in the Supreme Court, we're going to be seeing some real I'm just kidding. We need to stop her from being in the Supreme Court so that we can stop people like you. Amy Coney Barrett wants every 26-year-old woman in America to have a Mean Girls been socially distancing since 2004, you can't sit with us dish towel. And I don't know if we can let that stand. And I think there was one more stupid fucking thing. Is that it? Was it just Mean Girls? I didn't have any more. Oh, and they got the classic guy, the stick man, who has like a sticky hands and sticky feet. You remember this guy, right? And you put him on the wall, and he goes like boom, 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 boom,
I haven't seen that since fucking school.
Yeah, it was mostly things I haven't seen since I was like 10 or so years old. Also, there was a cabin halfway up this mountain I climbed, and someone carved into the cabin, coronavirus was here. Pretty clever. But I don't know. Then we, I ate food, and I was tired, and I went to bed. And so I'm doing a great, and tonight, Thursday night, good morning, Thursday morning, as Nancy Pelosi says, because she's senile and had a stroke on television. I think 2 strokes by now. So anyways, tonight I'm doing a show in Quincy, Massachusetts at the Bringing It Back, the Crack Bar. We were talking about crack earlier. You knew I would cycle it back.
Crackle pop.
So obviously, bar in Quincy. I think it's like a patio area, but they like walled it all in with pressboard. So like they're legally speaking, they're outside, but they're not really outside. So I asked another comic on the show who lives fairly close to me if he could give me a ride, since it is a huge pain in the ass to get to via public transit, but not a particularly far drive. And he said, "Nah, man, I'm not comfortable with that. Sorry." I'm like, "You're not comfortable with that, but you're comfortable going and performing to a room full of strangers?" And he said, "It's outside." And I was like, at this point, like, I can't even engage with you on this anymore, because first of all, it's outside in legalese. It is not outside actually. Like, the virus doesn't care that the Charlie Baker can't shut this down. There's still going to be drunk town. Like, I'm going to be hiding in the corner the whole time. But you really think I'm going to give you COVID-19 in the car? And then you're not worried about any of these townies like coughing on you during your set? It's outside. Yeah, that's going to make a big difference. Okay. Fucking be honest with yourself. This is just another example of someone using the pandemic as an excuse to like not be a good person. Like, that's all it is. People who want an excuse to yell at people on the street, so then thankfully they occasionally see someone out of a mask, they get to unload on them. People don't want to be giving people rides, even though I'm on the way. I'm not comfortable with that. I'm afraid that you're going to try to lick my doorknob. Jesus Christ. Fucking. Hopefully someone else will give me a ride. But boy, did that bust my hag. He's not being honest with himself. That's the motto of the show. I don't know if we can tolerate people who aren't honest with themselves. I was in 2 News today. Maybe he's worried because he found out I was in the 2 News, the York and the Hamp. But I did not actually go inside any businesses at all. I did use one public restroom in New York, but I held my breath. And there's no one else in there. But yeah, no. Oh yeah, New York, by the way, if you have to shit, good luck. No, I was saying, like, public restrooms are like the new parking spots. Because it's easier to find a parking spot now because everyone fucking left. But, boy, if you have to defecate, and it's worse because, if you can't find a spot, you just park somewhere you might get a ticket. If you can't find a place to shit, you have to risk going to jail. It's pretty horrible. Like, if you're not within a mile of your house and you grab a pumpkin spice latte, then you are a brave individual. You're a hero, basically. You are honestly more braver than the first responders who got Hodgkin's lymphoma on 9/11, I believe, if you get a pumpkin spice latte within a mile, like not within a mile of your house. Because, that thing's going to all of a sudden, gears are turning, and you don't got anywhere to go. No one trusts you. There's no outdoor bathroom. There might be outdoor dining. There might be outdoor. There's no outdoor bathroom. The outdoor bathroom is a place that lets you go to jail. Or when you're in New Hampshire, it's not that big of a deal. But still. It's risky. A lot of risk. A lot of risk factor. X Factor. That's the name of a roller coaster at Six Flags Magic Mountain. And I'm actually also going to go to Six Flags. This next weekend, I'm going to Six Flags, New Jersey. So in the month of October, Sober October, I will have checked off all 3 News. Hampshire, York, Jersey. I will get them all. Now, some people may be saying, well, why aren't you going to Six Flags, New England? It's closed. Massachusetts is under siege. We're in the studio, there's a cop right outside the window waiting to arrest me as soon as I come out of here. Yeah, you might see, like, his shadow just passed over me.
Where's your mask, sir?
Yeah, I know, I'm not. It's like Dave is incognitus, and so he's going to let Dave off with a bye. Plus, Dave has, connections to the mob. They wouldn't dare touch him.
What can I say?
What's this?
We're at 10 minutes. We started at 11:45.
Started at 11. Where's the timer?
No, because I'm recording straight.
Oh, we got the little monitor. I was out hiking with my friend. He's like, "Can you see that? There's a windmill on top of that mountain." And I'm like, "I can't see that far." He's like, "I got pretty good eyesight." I was like, "I can't see even. I see colors. I barely see shapes." So we got to wrap it. We got to tap it. We got to tibbly too. I think I had one more thing. Let me check the notes.
Yeah, we got 10 minutes left.
I talked about how I wasn't going to die in Connecticut.
Did you meet Ken Kniff in Connecticut?
Did I make Ken Kniff?
Yeah, it's an Eminem joke.
Kangamangus, Kangasampus, Biden loses the ability. I already said that. Oh, yeah, this is very important. And it's cycling back to, how my nudity rants of last week. Because, as we all know here on the Somebody's Listening program, if you're going to, evangelize nudity for whatever reason, you have to actually be willing to get naked, no sort of suggestive poses, no clever camera angles or tricks. Gotta be showing the hog and the labe, folks. Show the hog, show the labe. Mia Khalifa, she tries to act like she didn't do it already. Chris Evans, he had to own it, but again, not a choice of his. And you may notice that I cited both the male and female example of people who are generally considered attractive because I am not misogynist and I just really believe in integrity and not sexualization. However, I got to circle back to now we got those weird people saying, you ever hear this? People like, they've sexualized nudity in the media. Nudity is not sexual. And yeah, it is. I mean, that's just as a dumb viewpoint to have. The only people saying nudity is not sexual are people who, you wouldn't be turned on if you saw them naked because they're disgusting. But yes, no, when attractive people are naked, I think it is inherently sexual. It excites people. You wanna do things to them in the bedroom. This applies to men. This applies to women. I'm not a goofball. I'm not one of the Proud Boys. I'm not one of the incels. I'm not one of the, 5G battery cells. I'm not nothing of that. I'm not Splinter Cell, Far Reach, Metal Gear Solid, Ghost Recon. I'm not none of those. But if you see an attractive person naked, you want to have sex with them. Nudity is not inherently sexual. That's insane.
Bullshit.
That's very insane. And someone gave this take that men only like breasts because they have still attracted to their mothers and they want to suck on breasts because it reminds them of when they were breastfeeding as a kid. And it's sure. Well, I guess. Honestly, whether or not that's true doesn't affect me that much. But, you admitted that nudity is sexual. Ha-ha! So I gotcha. You bitch. Yes, it is obviously, I've done naked comedy in Cambridge at the now defunct Improv Boston, RIP to Improv Boston. And, it's a show. People think it's very strange when I tell them I did it. But it's a show. Every single performer on the show is fully naked. And some people are like, I think it desexualizes nudity. I was like, kind of, because not very many people who do the show are the kinds of people you'd want to see naked. I don't have that high of an image of myself. I think that there's a lot of people who would prefer not to see me naked personally. It's dishonest to put a lineup of gross comedians, have them perform naked for an audience that derives a strange voyeuristic pleasure, if I must say. They laugh at everything you say when you're on the show. They literally laugh at everything you say. They lose it. And they do not laugh in a way that I can compare to any other comedy show I've ever done. They laugh in a way that is rhythmic and cult-like. And I theorize that it has to do with the fact that it's not because they find you funny. It is because they're deriving a voyeuristic pleasure from seeing the show. If it is a voyeuristic pleasure that's making them laugh in such a way, then to them it is definitely on the basis level in their reptilian brain a sexual thing. Even if the people that they're viewing is not necessarily people that they're sexually attracted to. So we're talking in complex subjects here. We're gonna get a human sexuality expert on our next episode to really go into brass tacks with it, because I think it's an interesting subject and I'm not very well educated on it. But the idea that I learned that nudity was sexual from watching Wanted in 2008 with Angelina Jolie, where she shows her butt and and that was a weird one because she showed her butt, but she still also had all of the tattoos that are universally recognized, because she's has some very well-known distinct tattoos, and they just didn't airbrush any of them. So it's just, I guess the character in the movie has all of the exact same tattoos that Angelina Jolie has. I guess that's just what they were going for with that one. I don't know. She's a barcode. It's some weird stuff. No, I didn't learn. If anything, nudity being a thing that you don't want to see is a learned behavior, because all these religions teach you modesty and all this unhealthy, unnatural shit. I think the default is for nudity to be the sexual thing, and then that's why these religions have devoted so much effort to repressing it, because that is the natural state of things. And then you're gonna blame, fucking, I don't know. It's an example of a popular nude scene from when we were youths and when we were impressionable. I didn't see American Pie. I feel like that probably would have been the good example had I seen it as a kid. I didn't have HBO either, so I didn't get any of those things. There's a boobs in Airplane, which I saw as a kid.
I'm trying to think of a comedy movie.
That was fun. I enjoyed that. I think the first boobs I ever saw in film was in The Life of Brian. And that was like, that's what we're talking about, by the way. Life of Brian, it had like a boobs and a bush, and he showed his flaccid penis. It was equality, folks. It was equality. They weren't, and now it's all hyper-focused on women, and that's really just a shame. They should have more unflattering, flaccid British man penises in the films. And I think that, honestly, we'd shatter that glass ceiling pretty quickly if they did. What was well, it's got to be a good one. We were 12. Hot Tub Time Machine, but I was like 14 for that one. Wow. See, that's how woke and progressive we are, is that we don't even remember which memorable film nude scenes happened when we were kids.
What about Wedding Crashers?
Oh, that's a good one. The unrated version that came out. It's very key. It's very key. Doug Key. Keegan-Michael Key.
I think 8 Mile.
That I didn't see because I wasn't allowed. It was rated R. Titanic! That's the one! It was Titanic is the big one I was thinking of. Duh, because it was PG-13 and everyone saw it. Titanic, Kate Winslet. Lovely lady, that Kate Winslet. The Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. Great movie. The Steve Jobs movie, not that good, but she was in it. And I like Michael Fassbender, too. And, Seth Rogen, really, everyone in that movie was good. Jeff Dean. What was his name? Jeff Daniels. And the movie sucked. So it goes to show you can't just magically make a good movie about Steve Jobs. You can't really make Steve Jobs, and they made him look like a good person, which was probably not the best move because Steve Jobs was a horrible person. And if you want to evangelize him as some sort of saint, as these weird Apple cultists do, you need to be honest with yourself. Good night, folks.
Bigger sociopath than Bill Gates.
He's a bigger sociopath than Bill Gates, and Bill Gates wants to blow up the moon or something. He wants to do something stupid. He send a missile of dust. Bill Gates isn't great either. Be honest with yourself, folks. Good night.